Perfect. So we're going to start. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our Language Teaching Takeoff Webinar. We are here to explore how to make the most out of the powerful tools within the TeacherMatic Language Teaching Edition. My name is Alba. I'm a Spanish philologist, and I have been working in the language education sector for the past 9 years. Now I am part of the Avaline team, where we focus on creating tools that really support teachers and make a difference in the classroom. I am thrilled to introduce our host for today, Joanna Szoke. In today's session, she will talk about a key topic for language educators, IELTS preparation and guidance for our students in their assessments. Joanna will show you how the TeacherMatic IELTS-Style Test Prep Generator is a great tool to succeed in your students' preparation. Just a quick intro for her. Jo is a freelance teacher trainer and educational consultant and AI in education specialist. And we are very pleased to have her here once more today. Before we begin, here are a few practical notes. You're welcome to submit your questions using the chat on Zoom. We will aim to respond to them as many questions as possible at the end of the session. And please also note that this webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be shared with you by email after the event. And then we're going to start the session now. Thanks once again for joining us. And Jo will take over now to begin the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Alba. I'm just going to start my little timer. And thank you for inviting me again to do a session, and thank you everyone for coming. I hope those who are having bad weather, they don't care for like 30 minutes about the bad weather, and they can focus on learning more about the IELTS worksheet generator. So let's take a quick look at my slides. Okay, so here we go. I just want to talk a little bit or briefly about TeacherMatic. So TeacherMatic is an AI generator that both teachers and other people working in the language teaching industry can use. You can find 50 plus generators actually that are designed for language teaching, such as adapting your content or using certain things in a sentence, creating text. And basically these are targeted generators that you can use in your teaching. And the best part is something that you can see here, that you can use these generators with like a strong methodological background. So you can ask for lesson frameworks such as CLT or TBL. So you are very much supported by these language teaching methodologies. But to look at our target generator today, I want to ask you a quick question, and I'm going to ask you about your relationship with exam preparation and exam prep classes. And I'm going to show you 3 statements, and I want to hear or see your reactions in the chat. So just write in the chat whether these statements apply to you or not. So here we have the 3 statements, and I'm really curious about your thoughts and your relationship with exam prep lessons. Which ones do you agree with? Which ones are like completely alien to you? Just put your ideas in the chat, what you think. Have you ever felt, for example, like the third one or the first one? I'm curious to know. Okay. So, Hanel, I think you're saying that you feel like the first one. Definitely. Is there anyone who... Oh, okay. Number 1. Yes. Yeah, I think, and also this is what I felt as a teacher myself, and also talking to teachers. Number 1 is a big issue. Number 3 as well. Yeah, you might be thinking that, well, if you've never experience the exam from a student point of view, then how can you actually help your students? Ooh, nice. Ferris is saying strategic feedback. We're going to talk about that actually. Okay. Okay, it seems like number one is your most like relevant concern. Definitely. So what tends to happen in exam prep classes is that because teachers don't really know how to make them fun, they just end up doing practice paper after practice paper, and somehow this might lead to some sort of exam preparation, but it might become monotonous and not so fun and interesting. So what can you do to deal with these issues? Actually, if you want to, like, the easiest option is to personalize the exam activities that you, or the exam practice activities that you give to your students, and extend them. The little, like, these bubbles or solution bubbles that I'm showing to you are all in connection with what the generator lets you do. So for example, I will show you how you can create exam prep activities with some personalized bits to make it a bit more fun, to hide some Easter eggs. For example, your favorite students' names or their hobbies, their interests. And if they see those things appear in the exam prep text, they might find it a bit more interesting and motivating. Extension means that you don't just focus on one activity that is in the exam or that is featured in the exam, but you try to bring in more ideas, more activities connected to that task. And that is, again, something that the generator can help you do. Now, number two, it's something that beginner teachers tend to do a lot, since they don't really know how to deal with exam prep lessons. They just do practice paper after practice paper and sort of hope for the best, that somehow magically students will learn something just by doing the same thing over and over again. But just as Ferras mentioned in the chat, actually, one thing is that if you don't give feedback, nothing's really going to change. But the other thing that we can do as teachers is focus on elements within these exam prep tasks. So we can focus on sub skills. I'll talk about that in a minute, and also focus on exam taking strategies, like how we can help our students take the exam more efficiently, and how they can become more efficient at exam taking. And then the final problem, this sort of issue that we kind of feel that we are talking about something we haven't really experienced, so we don't feel credible and authentic enough. Again, this bubble is related to what the generator can help you do by saying use trustworthy sources. I'm trying to what I have in mind is that when you are asking for exams taking strategies, it's the best if you use trustworthy sources, such as the TeacherMatic generator, which uses or has been checked by exam bodies and other credible bodies in language teaching. Or alternatively, you can turn to printed materials published by, for example, IELTS Prep, credible IELTS Prep publishers, because that's how you can provide trustworthy strategies. But if you have taken the IELTS yourself, then firsthand experience. So let's look at something else as well. Let me check the time. When we are looking at, and we're going to turn to the generator in a minute to see it live, but when you start generating an exam paper, you will have the options of choosing between general or the academic paper. As we know, IELTS has these two versions, the general IELTS and academic IELTS. You can select the section within the reading paper. At the moment, it's only the reading paper that is available. And within the reading paper, you can select the section that you'd like to see and the task types. So you can select more than one task type when you're generating a paper or an exam task. You can tweak the difficulty. So when you are generating an exam prep task, it is following the IELTS requirements and level descriptions, but you can tweak the difficulty a little bit by selecting the desired band. I will show you that in a second, like how you can play with that, but it's optional. And once you have your worksheet, you can export it as a PDF or Word document, and you can also send it to Google Drive or your Google Classroom. But don't forget, you always need to double check everything. Just like whenever you generate anything with AI, it's going to be crucial that you check the answers. You double check the answer key just in case. It happened to me actually once. I mean, I think it might have happened to you as well, that you generated something, you thought like, okay, it's going to work. And during the lesson, it turned out that there were things that you should have checked in advance. So I cannot stress this enough, that double checking is key. So let me show you another thing that is, I think, amazing when you are a teacher and when you're trying to prepare for an exam prep class, and maybe you don't have enough experience in this. You can customize the worksheet that you're going to prepare further. So there you can find these toggles. I will show you in a second how it looks. But there are additional toggles you can turn on for teaching guidance. You can see that you can choose from these options here. You can ask for detailed answer explanations. It can be useful when your students are asking, so why? Especially like my most hated task type is the true, false, not given. So for example, for that, the detailed answer explanations could be super useful. Soft skill and strategy instruction, because maybe you need to understand why you're dealing with a particular task, or how it's best to tackle an activity. You can also ask for glossary of new expressions. So that's already a way of extending the activity further, turning it into a vocab-focused task. And then if you want to have a complete like printed worksheet, you can have this name field added to the worksheet as well. But let's take a quick look at the generator, and then I'm going to come back to this question, how to actually use the generated task in an exam prep class, so how to integrate it into your teaching. But let's quickly turn to the generator, which I hope you can see. And this is where we are, where you can find the TeacherMatic generators. And we're focusing on the IELTS-Style Test Prep Generator. When you'd like to find out how to use it, you can click on this little info window here, which tells you exactly what I just told you, what sort of options you can find, what are the task types within the general and the academic papers, and how you can use it. But let's see it live. So as I told you, you can select the type of the paper or the exam. We're going to go for academic. Reading is automatically selected. We don't have other papers yet. Let's say we want to choose section 3. Then I can select one or more task types. For example, I want the summary completion and the hated true, false, not given. Well, it's a personal opinion. And then, as I told you, you can tweak the difficulty, and you can also find a little info bubble here that it just adjusts how challenging the task is by changing information density, inference, and question design. So it's just a little tweak, and you can select how difficult you want the paper to be. Maybe we want accessible academic, but this is entirely optional. And maybe I want a bit of strategy training for myself, and a more detailed answer key and a task analysis. And to be honest, I want everything like a good customer. So let's try and generate the paper now. This might take some time because we asked for a lot of things, but once we have it, it's going to look as a long list, like a long text, but when you click on exporting PDF, it's going to look nicer. So there we go. Lots and lots of things here. Okay, so let's see what we got. Since we asked for the name field, we have it at the top. We also have the reading task. And as you can see, this important notice is at the top of each generated activity. These are, because it's the IELTS-Style Prep Generator, these are not official IELTS prep materials. These are in the style of prep materials. This is important just in case to know, like, when your students perhaps ask for it, whether this is like an official paper. It's definitely not. It's in the style of IELTS, but it follows IELTS needs, requirements, and characteristics. So we've got the text, which definitely follows the CEFR bands. We've got the question here, or the question section. Since we asked for 2 tasks, we've got 2. So we've got the true, false, not given. We also have the summary completion. And additionally, we have all these extra bits. So we've got the glossary, which you can then check with first check yourself. But you can also, if you want to turn it, since I mentioned that you can extend an activity, you can just remove the descriptions or put them in in a Word document, which you can easily when you export it to Word, and then cut them up and ask your students to match them up, perhaps before the task as a pre-task, or if you want to give them a real exam feel, don't give them a pre-task. Just use this kind of matching activity as a revision and sort of like trying to make these words stick once you completed the activity. You've got the answer key with detailed answer explanation, which could be useful for yourself, or you might also want to give this to your students if you want to give them self-study homework. So I will show you how this looks when you export it to PDF, but you can give them the task, they do it at home, and then they can read a detailed explanation if they are disciplined enough to do self-study at home. And the task analysis is again useful for you if, for example, you are a newcomer in exam prep lessons, that it gives you a little bit of background what the task does and what it or how it tests your students' knowledge. And this is what I really like. I think this is super useful when you're teaching exam classes, that you are aware of the strategies, and it's not just you who's aware, but you make your students become aware of these strategies. For example, if we take a quick look at this, emphasize that a statement can sound plausible and still be not given if the text does not actually say it. I think these are things, especially in this particular case, these strategies can be super useful if you want to help your students ace the exam. Also, we've got encourage students to predict the type of word needed before looking at the passage. Great. These are all super, super useful strategies. But if you remember, I told you that we can well, it's not going to be the most exciting activity, but we can spice up these texts if we add little details about our students. So you can use this refine button, um, which helps you refine the output. And maybe we say, like, change the text to include the following names and hobbies. So maybe I have Sarah, Peter, and I don't know, John. And I'm going to include my hobbies, which are mountain biking and wall climbing and swimming. Okay. Let's see what happens. But you can sort of turn this into a treasure hunt activity that before you actually do the actual exam task, you just tell students like, okay, here you go, guys, here's a text. Can you find some hidden treasures in this text that, I don't know, you don't even have to tell them what sort of hidden treasures that they need to look for, but at least it gives them some kind of a competitive edge. So let's see whether the text changed. Ooh, it's super long text. Oh, but I can already see it. I don't know if you can see it, but I can. So here's Sarah. I actually forgot the names that I gave, but I think it was Sarah, Peter, and John, I guess. So Peter's here and John is there. It seems like everything is in one paragraph because we've got the entire thing, I think, in one sentence over here. I'm not sure whether these words are mentioned further on or not, but it could be a very quick scanning activity just to give you a bit of sub-skill knowledge. So this could be a quick scanning activity, find the hidden treasures, and they are right there. So you can refine your output in this way. But you can also sit, oopsie, sorry, the window closed. Oh, well, what I wanted to show you, I might not have time to regenerate the whole thing again, but actually you could have save save the result and then use it again in another generator. So let's see, we generated a beautiful text with lots of activities, but you have no idea how to teach it. Then, as I was scrolling down, you can save the result and use the lesson prep generator, lesson plan generator, and generate an accompanying lesson plan for this task. And then you have your entire exam prep lesson. And just to go back to my final bit, if like to revise how to teach for exams, I think these are like the main ideas that I would like to leave you with. Don't just do practice papers one after the other, because that's not going to really help students learn, but focus on the connection between the exam task and real life. Students in this generation appreciate this kind of connection a lot. Don't forget about sub skills and strategies. Try to go with like this noticing, practicing, and then perfecting sub skills and strategies. And as we also saw it in the chat box, always ask for and provide feedback. So asking for is important for you to get an idea of how your students are finding these activities, what they are struggling with, and then providing feedback is useful for them because they know what they are struggling with and how they can go on further.
Perfect.
So come to the next webinar with Pilar.
Yeah, the next webinar, we're happy to invite you all to the next episode in this webinar series. It will be the 9th of July and it will be hosted by Pilar Capaul, where she will talk about how the TeacherMatic Language Teaching Edition generators are great tools for creating CFR levels aligned materials centered around reading, vocabulary, and grammar development. So it will be actually very connected to these questions that we had today in the chat. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time and we look forward to connecting with you again soon. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you for coming.